My name is Sandra. I'm 41 years old. And I raised a child that didn't come from my body but grew straight into my soul. 10 years of school runs, scraped knees, bad dreams, and breakfast tables. 10 years of being the only person who never left. Then one Tuesday morning, my doorbell rang. I opened it. And there she was. The woman who abandoned her newborn son and disappeared without a single look back. Standing on my porch. Smiling. Like she deserved to be there. She handed me a legal document. Said she was clean now. Said she wanted Liam back. My stomach dropped. But I didn't flinch. Because she didn't know what I had. She didn't know what I'd been quietly holding on to, waiting for exactly this moment. Before I tell you what happened next, if you're new here, subscribe and drop a comment. Where are you watching from? Now let me take you back to where this all began. It was a Tuesday night. November. Cold enough to see your breath. I was 31 years old, sitting on my couch with a cup of tea going cold beside me. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't pick up. But I did. And the woman on the other end said 3 words that rewired my entire life. It's about Kristen. My younger sister. The one who'd been missing for 7 months. The one nobody talked about at family dinners anymore. The social worker explained everything in a flat, professional voice. Kristen had given birth. A boy. Healthy. But Kristen was gone, walked out of the hospital 14 hours after delivery. No note. No name on the father's line. Nothing. Just a baby in a hospital crib with nobody coming. I sat there. Phone pressed to my ear. Tea completely cold now. The social worker asked if I was still there. I was. But the woman I was before that phone call, she was already gone. They gave me 48 hours to decide. I hung up, stared at my ceiling, and asked myself a question I had no business answering. Could I do this? Stay tuned, because what happened in those 48 hours changed everything. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat there, staring at the walls of an apartment that was perfectly sized for one person. One coffee mug. One toothbrush. One quiet life I had spent years building exactly the way I wanted it. And now someone was asking me to blow it up. I called my mom at midnight. She cried. Said it was too much to ask of anyone. I called my best friend Dana. She said the same thing. Everyone said the same thing. And somehow, that made my decision easier. I drove to the hospital the next morning. Alone. No plan. No bag. Nothing. A nurse led me down a corridor and stopped outside a glass window. And there he was. This tiny, furious, red-faced little person. Screaming at the world like he already knew it had let him down. I pressed my hand against the glass. He had Kristen's nose. My mother's forehead. And absolutely nobody in his corner. I signed the paperwork 2 hours later. Temporary guardianship. The social worker smiled. Said I was doing a good thing. I nodded. But inside I was terrified. Because temporary, that word already felt like a lie I was telling myself. I brought Liam home on a Friday. By Sunday I had called Dana crying 3 times. I didn't know how to fold a swaddle. Didn't know why he wouldn't stop screaming at 3 a.m. Didn't know if the formula was too warm or too cold or completely wrong. Nobody tells you how lonely it is. Not the books. Not the internet. Not the smiling women in parenting forums. You're just there. Alone. In a kitchen at 4 a.m. Holding a screaming baby and genuinely wondering if you've destroyed your life. I went back to work after 6 weeks. Had to. Bills didn't care that I was exhausted. My boss gave me a sympathetic look and a smaller caseload. My salary stayed exactly the same. My expenses doubled overnight. I stopped going out. Stopped dating. Stopped doing most of the things that used to make me feel like myself. And somewhere in those first brutal months, something shifted. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't a movie moment. It was just a Wednesday afternoon. Liam was 4 months old. He looked straight at me and smiled. First time. Just like that. No reason. No warning. And I sat on that kitchen floor and cried harder than I ever had in my life. But it wasn't sadness. Not even close. Liam started walking at 13 months. First word was no. Loudly. Repeatedly. At everything. I laughed so hard I cried. By age 3, he was obsessed with dinosaurs. Could name every single one. Corrected a museum tour guide once. The guide didn't appreciate it. I was mortified and secretly proud. School started. Parent evenings. Science fairs. Liam forgot his lines in the year 2 play and improvised an entirely different ending. The other parents looked confused. I was crying from laughing in the 3rd row. He made friends easily. Always the kid who looked out for the quieter ones. Teachers noticed. Mentioned it every single year without fail. I noticed too. By age 7, he was playing football every Saturday morning. I stood on freezing sidelines in the rain without a single complaint. Okay, one complaint. But only internally. We argued about vegetables. Bedtimes. Screen time. Whether a hot dog counted as a sandwich. Normal things. Beautiful things. Things I never knew I needed until I had them. He never called me mom. Always Sandra. We never discussed it. Never needed to. Because when he had a nightmare, he didn't call for anyone else. He called for me. Every single time. And I always came. Kristen contacted me for the first time when Liam was 2. A text. No apology. Just, how is he? I stared at it for 3 days. Then typed back. He's fine. That was it. That was our entire relationship for the next 4 years. Occasional texts. Mostly unanswered. Once a voicemail that I listened to alone in my car. She sounded different. Quieter. Said she was getting help. Said she thought about Liam every day. I sat in that parking lot for 20 minutes. Then I drove home. Made dinner. Helped Liam with his homework. And said nothing. When Liam was 6, a birthday card arrived. 3 weeks late. No return address. I put it in a drawer. He never saw it. When he was 8, another one came. On time. With a small drawing inside. A woman and a little boy holding hands. No name signed. Just a kiss mark in red pen. I put that one in the drawer too. I told myself I was protecting him. Maybe I was. Maybe I was protecting myself. I still don't know the answer to that. But I know this, every single time something arrived from Kristen, my stomach told me the same thing. This isn't over. She's getting closer. And I never once let myself think about what I'd do when she finally arrived. Liam was 10 years and 3 months old when it happened. A Saturday morning. He was upstairs. Headphones on. Completely in his own world. I was downstairs making coffee. The doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. I opened the door. And my coffee mug almost hit the floor. Kristen. Standing there in a gray coat. Hair neat. Makeup done. Hands folded in front of her like she was arriving for a job interview. She looked healthy. That was the first thing I noticed. The second thing I noticed was the envelope in her hand. She said my name. Quietly. Calmly. Like we'd spoken yesterday. I didn't move from the doorway. Didn't smile. Didn't speak. She held out the envelope. Said her lawyer had sent a copy to mine already. Said she'd completed 2 years of sobriety. Had a stable job. A 2-bedroom apartment. A support system. She used that word system. Like Liam was a problem she'd built a structure around. I took the envelope. Looked down at it. Then back at her. She said she wasn't there to cause trouble. Said she just wanted her son. And something inside me went completely cold. Not angry. Not panicked. Cold. Calculated. Because I had been waiting for this moment longer than she knew. And I was not unprepared. I closed the door. Told Kristen I'd be in touch. Then I stood in my hallway for 4 minutes without moving. The envelope in my hand. The house completely quiet above me. Liam was still upstairs. Still in his own world. Still completely safe inside the only life he'd ever known. I made a decision in those 4 minutes. He wasn't hearing this from anyone but me. I walked upstairs. Knocked on his door. He pulled one headphone off. Looked at me. Said, "You okay?" 10 years old and already reading my face better than most adults. I sat on the edge of his bed. And I told him. Not everything. Not the legal language. Not the fear sitting in my chest. Just the truth. That he had a biological mother. That her name was Kristen. That she was my sister. That she had been unwell for a long time. and that she was better now, and that she wanted to meet him. He listened, didn't interrupt once. When I finished, he looked at the floor, said nothing for a long time, then looked up and asked one question. Just one. Does she know anything about me? My throat closed completely, because the honest answer was no, and we both knew what that meant. I called my lawyer that same evening. She read through Kristen's documents while I sat across from her desk, barely breathing. Then she looked up, said Kristen had a case. Not a strong one, but enough. 2 years sobriety, stable income, documented therapy. A judge would have to take it seriously. I drove home in complete silence. That night I opened the drawer. The one with Kristen's cards. Her voicemails. Every unanswered text. Every late birthday message. Every moment she chose absence over effort. I spread everything across my kitchen table. And I started building. My lawyer filed for permanent legal guardianship 3 days later. Kristen's lawyer responded within a week. And just like that, 10 years of quiet, ordinary life became a courtroom argument. People chose sides immediately. My mom called. Said maybe Kristen deserved a chance. I couldn't speak. My friend Dana showed up at my door with wine and fury in equal measure. Colleagues asked careful questions with careful faces. And, through all of it, Liam went to school. Did his homework. Ate his dinner. Asked me every night if everything was okay. Every night I said yes. Every night he looked at me like he knew I was lying. And every night he let me get away with it anyway. My lawyer told me something early on. She said, Sandra, you need to understand who you're fighting. I didn't want to hear it. But I listened. Kristen's file was thick. Rock bottom documented in cold clinical language. Addiction at 19. In and out of facilities for years. A relationship that turned violent. Homelessness twice. A miscarriage nobody in our family knew about. I sat with that file for a long time. Because here's the thing nobody tells you about being angry at someone. Sometimes you learn something that doesn't make the anger disappear. It just makes it heavier. I remembered Kristen before all of it. 17 years old. Laughing at everything. Stealing my clothes. Calling me every single night from college her first week because she was homesick. That person existed. I knew her. And somewhere between 19 and 31, she got completely lost. Her lawyer presented her recovery in court with quiet dignity. Therapy certificates. Employment records. A letter from her sponsor. A letter from her landlord. She sat in that courtroom looking straight ahead. Calm. Composed. Nothing like the chaos I remembered. And for one terrible moment, just one, I understood exactly why a judge might look at her and see a mother worth giving a second chance. That moment scared me more than anything else in that entire process. The court appointed a child psychologist to speak with Liam. 3 sessions. I drove him to every single one. Sat in the waiting room. Stared at the same magazine without reading a single word. Liam never told me what they discussed. I never asked. That boundary was his. I wasn't going to touch it. Then came the day the judge requested Liam speak directly. In chambers. Private. Just the judge, a court-appointed guardian, and Liam. No lawyers. No parents. No me. I sat outside that door for 40 minutes. Longest 40 minutes of my entire life. I studied the floor tiles. Counted ceiling panels. Checked my phone without seeing the screen. When the door finally opened, Liam walked out first. He looked at me immediately. Just looked. Said nothing. Sat down beside me. And put his head on my shoulder. That was it. No words. Just that. My lawyer came out 2 minutes later. Caught my eye across the corridor. Gave me the smallest nod. I exhaled for what felt like the first time in months. Later that night I asked Liam, gently, if he was okay. He shrugged. Said the judge asked him where he felt safe. I asked what he said. He looked at me like the answer was the most obvious thing in the world. I told her. Home. One word. And it cracked me completely open. The ruling came on a Thursday morning. Gray sky. Light rain. I wore the same blazer I wore to every single parent evening for 10 years. My lawyer said it was a good sign I looked calm. I wasn't calm. I was completely numb. The courtroom was small, formal. Kristen sat 2 tables away. We didn't look at each other. The judge entered, sat down, opened her file, and began reading in a steady, measured voice that gave absolutely nothing away until the very last second. Permanent legal guardianship awarded to Sandra. Kristen granted supervised visitation. Monthly. With a structured pathway to increase over time pending review. The judge said Liam's stability and emotional well-being were the determining factors. Said the last 10 years spoke for themselves. I heard the words. Processed them slowly. Like they were arriving from somewhere far away. My lawyer touched my arm. I nodded. Looked straight ahead. Kristen didn't make a sound. I glanced over once. Just once. She was staring at the table. Both hands flat on the surface. Perfectly still. Her lawyer leaned in and said something quietly. She nodded once. Then stood up. Gathered her things. Walked toward the door without looking back. And I sat there. Winning feeling nothing like I thought winning would feel. I picked Liam up from school that afternoon. He threw his bag in the back seat. Asked what was for dinner. Just like every other Thursday. I said pasta. He said good. And we drove home in the most ordinary silence I have ever been grateful for in my entire life. That evening I sat on the back step while he watched TV inside. I could see him through the glass. Sock feet on the coffee table. Remote in hand. Completely unbothered. And I thought about Kristen driving home alone to her 2-bedroom apartment. Her support system. Her sobriety chips. Everything she rebuilt and still lost. I won. And it didn't feel like winning. It felt like surviving. 3 weeks later, Kristen's first supervised visit happened. I dropped Liam at the contact center. He was quiet in the car. Walked in without looking back. I sat in the parking lot for the entire 2 hours. When he came out, he got in the car. Said she was nice. Said she knew his favorite dinosaur already. Said she'd looked it up. I didn't say anything. Just drove. But somewhere on that road home something shifted in my chest. Not forgiveness. Not yet. Just space. Room for something I couldn't name yet. And Liam, he just looked out the window. Calm. Whole. Exactly where he was supposed to be.